Dave, really excited to talk about this next record, Black Country New Roads, Ants from Up
Mm,
There. Man, this is like one of the most bittersweet reviews I think we're ever going to do
mm,
because just
yeah.
4 days before the album comes out, end of January, Isaac Wood, the lead singer of Black Country New Road, announces that he's quitting the band, um, alluding to mental health issues, saying he's been feeling sad and afraid recently and feels like he can't really give his best as the front man for the group and one of the lead guitars for the group while feeling that way. What was your just reaction seeing that?
I mean, it's pretty gutting because Wood is the most present creative force to listeners of Black Country New Road. The main vocalist, the lead guitarist of the seven-piece group. He's the one identity that I think is most recognizable.
Yeah.
His vocal performance is very unique and memorable on songs from that first album. So to have the band continue without him, the band's just going to be different.
Yeah.
Like his vocals being gone is a huge thing. So obviously disappointing. Hopefully he finds peace with this new change in his life. But yeah, from an art perspective, it's definitely going to be a big shift.
Completely agree. With a band that's, I don't want to say formless, but as shape shifting as Black Country New Road and most of the bands within this, like, I don't know, prog rock sound. I don't
British
even know.
post punk,
Yeah. It's
Black Midi, Squid, and this
it, it's
band.
it's very hard to really like point and say like what's the defining feature of that band. They all the songs kind of have a different sense to them, but yeah, Isaac Wood's vocal performance, whether it's coming across as like that raspy like melancholy or desperation, or like tongue-in-cheek like sneering joke half the time, uh he just is so recognizable and completely the face of the band. They are going to continue making music without him, and they said that they're not going to play any of the old songs,
Yeah,
so
North
they
American tour canceled as a result.
huge bummer. So it's interesting to see what the next form of the band will be. I'm sure they'll be trying out a lot of new stuff, and I think this makes this review especially hard because I think Ants from Up There is a complete success. I had their last album for the first time
Mm,
on my top 10 from last year,
yeah,
and
shortlist for the
this
Mercury Prize. They loved it in England.
this is, I think, way past it. I just was completely blown away. Not only because I think they they maintained a lot of the post punk sound with like the like the formlessness of the songs,
Hmm.
kind of going whatever direction, but making it, I think, more accessible to people and just
Absolutely.
more enjoyable overall. So instead of it being like, I love that part of that song, the songs you just kind of melt into on this. And I loved it. How did you feel?
Yeah, I agree. Like with this Sand, and not to just immediately compare them to their most obvious comparisons, but like sometimes with Black Midi, it's like it's a little out there for me sometimes. Like I appreciate where they're what they're doing, where they're going, and it's pretty impressive to hear expansive records. But it's not for everyone. But this though, it's like this does not come across like the listening experience of this album does not come across as like something super wild, even though
No.
there's seven people involved on the songs and there's tons of instrumentation and stops and starts and like everything that they were did well on the first album they're still doing it, but for some reason the songs uh, just seem a lot more re-listenable, and
Mhm.
a lot of times they're at a normal runtime as well, which I appreciate. But just like right off the bat, with Chaos Space Marine, like that
Yeah.
opening, just with those drums and the horns, the sax, like it's like that's the band right there, and that's even
Mhm.
before Isaac Wood comes in and starts, singing in like the way only he can, with the
Yeah.
memorable quotables and everything else.
Yeah. Completely agree. And, just even thinking about like the moments on this album that stand out most, they have a lot of the songs have similar structure to some of the best tracks off of For the First Time. Things like the huge lead up at the end with like all the instruments kind of
Yeah,
whirring and spinning around
basketball
each other.
shoes.
but I think about like yeah, basketball shoes is a great example. Um, there's just like this like the piano comes in. I'm trying to find in my notes here which song it is, but there's one in particular. Maybe it's on. I don't think it's Goodwill Hunting, but oh no, it's Haldern. It's Haldern.
Hmm.
The strings and then the piano kind of like rising and falling on that. It's just like it's so like freeform, and you're like, this is you have no idea where it's going, but it just kind of like keeps you in and like doesn't ever push you too far out to the edges, and it feels like erratic enough or chaotic enough, but not like extreme. And I think it's just really impressive. And you
Yeah.
kind of match that with these like emotional swings every song, and you're just like, how does a band really capture something like this to perfection? Something that feels like it you're listening to it for the first time, just kind of riffing in the studio, but it's completely put together and there's there's form to it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
exactly. Yeah, I think Bread Song's a great example of that, where it starts off really slow and quieter per this band's
Mhm.
standards, and the strings come in, and then there's like a complete like sonic shift halfway through the song, and then you have that like really memorable drumstick tempo, like not drumming, but like the drumsticks making noise themselves, and it's there's just lots
Yeah.
of cool moments on this. Like I remember there were so many funny lines from the first album. This time around, you get reference to Billie Eilish and stuff, and
Yeah.
uh,
All throughout the album.
yeah, calling a song "Goodwill Hunting" in general,
Yeah.
which actually is probably one of the harder songs on this. That's funny to me. Shout out Gordon Wood. So
Yeah.
there's they're never boring, which is
No.
really admirable. Like it's not like I listen to lots of post punk or math rock or anything like that. I certainly don't. But like you just throw this on and it's like, wow, like this is just like there's a vision here that's just really, really impressive.
Absolutely. And Goodwill Hunting, I wanted to shout out. I think that's probably one of Wood's best vocal performances on the whole thing. He's just like really reaching the edges of
Mm,
his range throughout the whole thing. Um, yeah, I mean, I wrote down notes for almost every single song. I guess just like I thought Concord was great. The ending of that,
yeah.
just kind of like the
Yep.
saxophone driving it through, and Concord being, I think the emotional centerpiece of the whole
Mm.
album. It's mentioned all throughout, and kind of like who is Concord in all this. I thought was an
Bergeron
interesting
Atkins as
question.
well, or however he says
Yeah,
it. So funny.
yeah. um, yeah, there's just a lot of really really great stuff on this. Um, the drum build up in Snow Globe was a really great moment for me. Just
Hmm.
that's such a quiet song, and those drums just fucking come out of nowhere.
Hmm.
Amazing. Just
Yeah.
uh, if you don't like this album, I don't know what to tell you because this is probably the best rock music that's coming out right now.
Yeah. Mark's theme definitely reminded me of like a movie score, like to a
Yes.
T, and
Hmm.
pretty nice to actually have an interlude do something for you.
Absolutely. Um, check out Black Country New Roads. Ants from up there. I wonder when we'll hear from them again. I wonder if they'll make music and get it out quick, or if they're gonna give this some
Yeah.
space.
So this album came out almost like to the day 1 year after
Mhm.
album one. So if they took a little bit more time, I don't think anyone would blame them given the circumstances.